Hey there everyone, welcome back to another video lesson here from English Valley Cafe. I'm Anne. Previously in another video we talked about rising intonation. In what situations your voice or your pitch will go up, and we did some practice. Today in this video I'm going to talk about falling intonation. So that is when your pitch falls or when it drops at the end of a sentence or a question. Now, previously we talked about the importance of intonation, that when you are speaking English, there are times where your voice goes up, your pitch goes up, and when it comes down. So that's important to know because it will help you to speak English more naturally and also to communicate more effectively, because intonation in English will express how we feel, our emotions or our attitudes. And it also sends signals to the other person, like when we are asking a question or when we are just making a statement, we're just saying something, giving information. So today in this video, we're going to focus on the falling intonation, and we'll also do some practice as well. In case you missed the video on rising intonation, I'll leave the link down in the description box below this video, and I'll also link it up here in the card and you can check that out. All right, so let's get into falling intonation. All right, so first we're going to talk about questions. And here specifically, we're talking about information questions. When you ask questions that you want to get information, like who or what, where, when, why, and how. These are WH questions that you ask to get information. So in this case, our intonation will go down. All right, so let's do some practice. And when I'm saying these sentences, I invite you to say it out loud. Say it with me, because it's important that you get the feel for the intonation, and that is by hearing yourself and practice saying it. All right, so are you ready? Here we go. When did you go? When did you go? When did you go? How was dinner? How was dinner? How was dinner? How was dinner? Who was that? Who was that? So who was that? Okay, our pitch goes down at the end. Who was that? The next one, what can we do to help? What can we do to help? What can we do to help? All right, so anytime you ask questions that starts with these WH words like who, what, where, when, why, how, your intonation, the pitch is going to drop at the end. Up next, we have feelings, emotions, attitude. So previously in the other video, we said that when we are happy, excited, we use a rising intonation. Now today here, we're going to talk about when we are bored or we're disinterested in something, or even when we are being sarcastic, like we're making a joke, sarcasm. Then we use a falling intonation. So for example, we're going there again. We're going there again. Okay, so here I'm showing disinterest. I'm like, we're going there again. I don't want to go there. We're going there again. Or when we are being sarcastic, we're showing sarcasm. So we don't really mean it. For example, you're such a genius. You're such a genius. So here, when I say it with a falling intonation at the end, you're such a genius, I don't really mean that you are a genius. I'm just being sarcastic. Okay, so you're such a genius. All right, up next is making statements. And this is one of the most common situations that we'll use a falling intonation, is when we're just simply stating a fact or giving information. So for example, I'll get back to you tomorrow. I'll get back to you tomorrow. You can't go out until you finish dinner. Okay? You can't go out until you finish dinner. So notice here at the end when I say dinner, my pitch goes down. You can't go out until you finish dinner. Okay? The presidential election is very intense. So notice here that when I stressed on the word very, my pitch goes up. But then at the end, when I say intense, my pitch goes down to finish the sentence. And in another video, I'll talk a little bit more about the rising and falling intonation. But here, we'll just stick with the falling intonation at the end. The presidential election is very intense. Now, when you are giving instructions, you're teaching somebody or telling somebody how to do something, at the end of that instruction, your intonation will go down. So for example, take out a pan, take out a pan, wash it, wash it, wash it, spray it with oil, spray it with oil, oil. Take out a pan, wash it, spray it with oil. Now, the next situation we're going to talk about is tag questions. And as you know from the other video, typically we'll use a rising intonation at the end for tag questions. That's if we want to ask the question, like to check with the other person to see if they think or agree. Now here, our intonation is going to go down because we're using a tag question just to show an observation about something that we see or that we feel. So we're not really asking a question, but just making a statement to show an observation. So for example, those flowers are pretty, aren't they? Aren't they? Okay, so here I'm not asking a question. I'm not asking you if those flowers are pretty. I'm just making an observation. Now, if I were to say those flowers are pretty, aren't they? Aren't they? Now my pitch goes up because I want to ask, see if you agree with me. Aren't those flowers pretty? Okay, so there's a difference here depending on if you're asking a question or if you're just showing an observation, which your pitch will go down. So one more time. Those flowers are pretty, aren't they? He was really aggressive, wasn't he? Wasn't he? So here again, I'm just making an observation. I noticed that he was aggressive. He was really aggressive, wasn't he? All right, so these are some of the common situations that we use a falling intonation when we are speaking. Now, a good way to do intonation practice is to listen a lot and open up your ears when you listen. What you can do is pick a short video or a short text and copy or imitate the speaker and pay attention to when their intonation goes up and when it comes down. Try to say the sentence out loud and get a feel for it. All right, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them down in the comments below. And that's it for this video. If you are new to this channel, if you enjoy this video, make sure you hit that subscribe button and tap on that bell notification. And if you have been watching my video for quite some time and you find it helpful, make sure you subscribe and tap on that bell as well. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I will see you back here next week for a new lesson. Take care. Bye.